Man, I can't remember the last time, and I ain't that old, don't get me wrong. I have not heard any noise from Duke. I think it's just it's so different not to hear it. I like it. No, the Duke is and all your boy and all that stuff. I ain't heard not a word of them all season.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with us today on this Throwdown Thursday edition, Captain for Life, Will Cotton. Will, how you doing, my friend?
I'm over here just upsetting George every time, so I'm ready to do some more.
All right, an academic and athletic consultant for the CK Save Project, George Ocken. George, let's try not to get us off the air this week. How you doing, bud?
Look, man, I'm gonna do my best. I'm still mad with Will because I don't even have a T-shirt yet. I'm still looking for the T-shirt. So.
We gotta do something about that. It's segment one. Welcome to March. We are in March, so we will begin to talk about the madness, and we'll have a little bit more on court storming. Segment two. Welcome to March on the women's side, and we'll have more on Caitlin Clark's decision, and I think that might be a spirited conversation. And in segment three, NIL enforcement or lack thereof, and how are we going to go 14 before we do 12? But we'll talk about that later. But first, men's net rankings. Number one, Houston, who got a scare last week. Purdue is 2. Arizona's 3, UConn's 4, Tennessee's 5, Alabama 6. They even had game day for Alabama basketball. 7, Auburn 8, Iowa State 9, UNC. Great documentary on Coach K and old boy Roy on ACC Network. Mm-hmm. And 10, BYU still hanging around. Extended streaks. USF is on fire. University of South Florida. James Madison's on an extended winning streak, and Tarleton State is on a winning streak of 10 games or more. March 17th is Selection Sunday. So, fellas, what has caught your eye this week? Starting with you, George. What's caught your eye?
A couple things. How good the Big 12 is. Well, they look good because they just keep battling back and forth and just keep beating each other up. 2, UConn and Purdue make it look like there's nobody else in their conferences. They just steamroll everybody else. So that's what I paid attention to this week. It was just yeah. I mean, I haven't seen anybody in the Big Ten really give Purdue a challenge until when the guards forget to throw the ball inside the big boy. It's a done deal, and UConn's just. I am so impressed with Danny Hurley's coaching ability up there. It is they are literally like an old school Big East team. We're going to be physical. We're going to play defense, and we're going to run it down your throat. What are you going to do about it? And they're going to be tough out when we hit the tournament.
Well, what's caught your eye?
One, man, I can't remember the last time, and I ain't that old, don't get me wrong. I have not heard any noise from Duke. I think it's just it's so different not to hear it. I like it. No, the Duke is and all your boy and all that stuff. I ain't heard not a word of them all season. That parody is really working for everything. I think it's great. Big fan of UConn, obviously, Big East guy. They're going to be a tough out. I like the SEC is really in there, Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn in there in the net rankings, really showing that they're investing in teams, I think this is good. The question, Purdue, do they have any guards yet?
They do, and we hope that they remember to throw it to the 2-time National Player of the Year, because anybody who's not talking about Zach Edey as National Player of the Year, I don't care about your NBA projections. I don't care about any of that. Right here, right now, when you involve him in the offense, nobody's guarding him. When you give him a touch every time down the court and make people work to play that 300 pounds and hold it, you're going to win a lot more than you lose. So, yeah, that's my story of the week myself. That's my thought of the week with that. Yes, go ahead, George.
I was about to say the only other thing is Edie has to understand that he has a limit to where he can go and play because he gets excited every once in a while and wants to step out behind that line, and when that happens, it's nothing but trouble. So
Man,
he just
get
needs
the
to stay.
big man, get a big man a 3-pointer or two
No,
to keep him happy, George.
You gotta throw him
But
the bone.
that's
You
a
gotta throw him
personal
the bone.
comment.
Coach.
That-
I let it
that-
go.
That's a
that-
personal comment. That's all right.
Every time Igor steps outside the paint, we got or the mid range game.
But would you take that?
That's a 2-for-1.
But would you
That's
take
a
that
2-for-1.
if he was like, look, I'll give you everything you want, coach. I just need at least 1-2 shots behind the line.
Hey, Will, the
as long
kid
as it
had
ain't tight,
permission to
long
take
as it
a
ain't
3
tight.
on occasion.
And look, as long as it ain't tight, because that's a 6-point swing right there.
Yeah, right.
All right, story of the week, court storming follow-up. Young Mr. Cotton got the internet abuzz. I'm very excited about that. When he said, to paraphrase, make it a felony to storm the court. So I did some reading about some of the feedback, and there was 3 things that came up in terms of follow-up as a solution to court storming, and I will give Will the opportunity to address any of the 3 suggestions. 1, announce to the world that nobody not connected with the programs is allowed on the playing surface, and anybody who violates that will be arrested, just like in the NFL or Major League Baseball. The second suggestion, if you storm the court, the winning team has to forfeit. And the third item, the NBA doesn't have it, so why don't we just do what the NBA does and have the high-level seats up front and push the muck and the broke people up top? Will, you've got those in front of you. Anything you like or you don't like? You first, sir.
I mean, I think number one, I think that's the best one. I mean, just nobody's allowed on the playing surface. I mean, that's standard. I mean, even outside of court storming, you don't want nobody on the store with no dress shoes on the court either. So I mean, just keep nobody off the joint. I don't really like winning team forfeit because that kind of defeats the purpose of upsetting. So if I'm the church of the poor and I'm playing Duke or UNC and I win, I mean, you're going all of a sudden I lose because everybody excites and these kids and da 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 da. That's messing up the integrity of the game, I think. And again, don't price people. I'm not a big fan of pricing people out. I think the students are the blood of the team, especially in college. I mean, that's they're right there. They got the shirts on, the kids. How many people you going to find taking off their shirt for 2 hours? Not me. Put my bag on. I'm cold. I ain't doing that. I ain't painting my chest. But I think the first one is the best one. Just keep everybody. If you don't have a press pass, if you're not on the game, if you're not on the team, you should not be. And if you go, then you should be arrested. That's just trespassing. I mean, I think that's the easiest way to do it.
George, as a former athletic administrator and school administrator, which idea do you like the best?
Well, I hate the last one because college is about college students. That's just ridiculous. But
you don't want the wine and cheese crowd up front.
Oh, and the scary thing about it, and usually the wine and cheese crowd are alumni, and they probably are two sheets to the wind anyway by the time they get to the game, so they might be out on the court with the kids anyway.
Right.
They don't storm the court in hockey. So why don't you just put the plexiglass around the daggone?
They don't court storm in WWE. Right?
No. The fellas don't like that.
Every time somebody court storms in the WWE, they pay for it. And not by checkbook.
There you go.
Man.
There's a physical payment.
You want some in-ring cooperation, go ahead and storm the ring. I have seen that happen.
Yes, I have.
Look on YouTube, folks, and Hogan and those guys when somebody came in. Potato.
You want to know what you want to know what a DDT really feels like? Oh, they find out for real. Yeah.
It's
right.
real. It's real.
So in segment 2, fans, we'll jump into the women's game and check out their net rankings and Caitlin Clark's impact. We'll be right back on the iCoaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Folarin Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the iCoaches podcast in segment 2, women's net rankings, and chalk it is. South Carolina's 1, UConn's 2, Stanford's 3, Texas is 4, Iowa is 5, UCLA is 6, Utah 7, Ohio State 8, LSU 9, and Notre Dame is 10. Don't worry, Will, USC is still up there. We've got a lot of extended winning streaks in the women's game. Florida Gulf Coast, Ohio State. George High Point is on an extended winning streak. Middle Tennessee, Fairfield. Fairfield's crushing it. Check out Fairfield this week, fans. Toledo, UNLV, Sacred Heart, South Carolina, Lamar, Jackson State, South Dakota State, and Gonzaga, all on extended winning streaks. George, anything catch your eye this week in the women's game? And feel free to shout out High Point.
I'm gonna shout out them High Point Panthers, baby. They better win the tournament. I just want them to win the tournament. That's it. So they can get the automatic bid, because chalk is the word. It is the verb that you heard, and because if they don't win it, I'm fearful that they won't get a spot, because
fearful.
It is tight right now. I mean, the big one is, it's funny that now it's like been 2 years. I'm starting to hear UConn again. And that was my big takeaway. I think that because UConn's hasn't been really a player the past couple of years in women's college basketball. So, but you're starting to hear their name again. Now, will it last, and will anything come of it by the time we get to tournament time? I don't know. But we shall see. But yeah, that was the big one, when UConn starting to rear their head again.
All right, Will, what are you thinking this week? What has caught your eye in the women's game?
Man, Utah got a great win against my USC Trojans that I've been rolling with them, and Alyssa Peely is just continuing to roll. Monster. She is so good. But she also Kennedy McQueen, she got Maddie Wilk, Deja Young, they all, dropped in at least 13, 14, 15 apiece. So they're not a one-man show, or a one-woman show, I should say. I'm sorry. They're good, man. They're good, and they're tough. But, I'm still rocking with USC. They won, I think they lost one. They won out of like 8 out of last 9 or something. They lost recently to Utah. They just won. Who was that? Whoever they played last, they just beat them. I think it was Arizona State. They beat them by like 15, something like that. But yeah, everything is rolling, man. I like it. Let's keep going, man. Keep going. I'm gonna see what happens in the tournament, but I ain't gonna change now. Juju Watkins, I'm not changing. I'm with it. She's rocking. Let's go, baby.
All right. So story of the week. our basketball sensation and box office queen, Caitlin Clark, announced last week that she will be concluding her college career with the NCAA tournament whenever they go out, and she will not come back for her 5th COVID year. She must not be a fan of college football, but that's another story. She is projected to be the #1 pick going to the Indiana Fever. She has broken all types of records. Now, of course, we do want to shout out Pearl Moore and the AIAW records. So from Francis Marion from 75 to 79. But we don't want to derail the segment. We're excited about this opportunity for the women's game to continue to grow. Will, I'm going to start with you. Caitlin's not coming back. So what do you think this is going to do to the women's basketball tournament ratings? How is this going to look? What do you think?
It's probably going to be the most watched women's tournament in a long time. I think there was a long time that kind of turned people off. It was 2 teams. It was UConn and Tennessee, and that kind of pushed people away. And there's always this one dominant team that kind of pushed people off. It's like, oh, I know they're going to win. I think now we have a darling, and we all have a ton of other stars. I mean, Juju Watkins, I talk about Angel Reese, Alyssa Peely. I mean, we have really stars now. Her game has catapulted the other games of everybody watching. You know what I'm saying? So as much as I see Caitlin Clark, it's like, oh, I'm watching Caitlin Clark. Oh, but she playing Angel Reese. Who is that? They're going against so-and-so. Who's better than her? It's a whole overflow. I'm loving, man. So I'm actually to focus and watch on the tournament. I haven't really watched it strongly, but now I'm put your money where your mouth is. You want eyes, you want people to watch. Hey, you got Will Cotton at least. So I'm ready to go and watch, man. I'm excited. I'm even a little more excited than the men's side, just because I want to see the stars. I don't know if I'll see all these top 10 lottery picks in a tournament. We see it all the time right now, but I'm excited. I'm just excited. I'm gonna let the women get in their shine, and I'm gonna give them I'm gonna watch. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna watch. This will be good.
George, as a girl dad extraordinaire, with all of this going on, what are your thoughts going into the women's NCAA tournament?
I'm excited, but it's the next step up. I mean, last year put it on the pedestal, on one pedestal, and it's going up to the next one. I think the finals was probably one of the most watched college basketball games in history last year. But we're going to go through this. You're going to go and Caitlin Clark's not going to win not even going to win the national championship unless something crazy happens.
No, they can't play any defense.
No, it's going to be a great thing. I'll make the comment now, and I bet that it probably averages more viewership than the men's tournament does. They got bigger stars. And the reason I say that is because they got bigger stars, and they're going to bring another element to the domain of watching TV. Because before you only had but so many people watching, you had, because the country fell in love with March Madness, and that had a lot to do with that extracurricular activity that goes along with it. But I think that so many people will want to see the Caitlin Clarks, the Angel Reeses of the world, and it just like last year. A lot of those girls became women became darlings because you got to see them for the first time. Louisville was hot last year. And then they got taken out. And you're gonna have more players like that they just continue to fall in love with.
Yeah. For me, I have to make it and take it back to a wrestling reference. The men's tournament's like WrestleMania. It's a brand. You really don't need to bring back old stars anymore as much as you think you do, because it was already sold out. The women's game reminds me of AEW because it is top heavy. It is all of the brands you knew. South Carolina's undefeated and nobody's talking about them running the table. You have a darling in Caitlin Clark. You have Tar Vanderveer, the Hall of Fame coach. You've got all types of strong basketball storylines with that Caitlin Clark being the one to galvanize the casual viewer. So this will be an exciting time for the women's game now. I don't know if it's going to hit WrestleMania ratings, but they're not going to be hungry in terms of viewership. So with that being said, George, anything you want to add before we close out?
Yeah, because you can see the effect, and I think, and I talked about this the other one of our other episodes. You can see the effect of how that is growing, and just like everybody, just like back in the day when we had WrestleMania, there was always Nitro and them nipping at the heels, and then you can start seeing the seeds now. ESPN does game day every Saturday. Game day last Sunday, because they do the women's game day on Sunday. They go down to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech was they were great last year. They're one of the better teams in the ACC. They go do on campus, and it's sold out for game day. Sold out on a Sunday in the arena. So you can see that momentum, that wave coming. So it's like I said last time, how do we keep it going? Because the ladies' game is very good, and it is, you just keep seeing them coming and people keep jumping on. So we'll see.
All right. So fans, in segment 3, NIL enforcement or lack thereof, and how we already talking about 14 teams, and we ain't even done 12 yet. We'll be right back on the Coach.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Young Coach Podcast. And in segment 3, it's about student athletes. There's a pause on the NIL enforcement following another courtroom loss, as we joked last week with Robert. Which one? The NCAA has halted investigations into booster-backed collectives or other third parties making name, image, and likeness compensation deals with NCAA Division I athletes. In a letter to member schools last week, NCAA President Charlie Baker said that the NCAA Division I Board of Directors directed the enforcement staff to pause and not begin investigations involving third-party participation. We're still trying to figure this out. There's a lot of state laws out there. Every state seems to have different rules. The NCAA rolled out this legislation with very little guardrails. Charlie Baker has even proposed a new tier of NCAA Division I, where it would be required for schools to pay $30,000 per year to at least half their athletes, and also having a different level of football. Will, you're regular people. You're my captain who just, hey, coach, here's what we're thinking. Tell me your thoughts as you read about the lack of NIL enforcement while the courts figure out what's going on.
I've been banging this drum since maybe a year now. This was something they should have done before they allowed it. Again, you can go to all the shows we talk about NIL, man. Once you let the tiger out the cage, it's hard to put the tiger back in the cage. The tiger's out. He's like, I'm hungry now.
Oh, he ain't just out.
Yeah, but it's it's unfortunate because there was no oversight, there was no details, there was no process that was put in. All they wanted was just extra meals. All they really wanted, they were like, man, I just want extra meals. I don't want to have to eat on the weekends. I don't have to spend money. And they were like, they do whatever you want. And then now they're like, well, maybe do whatever you want is too strong. And they archaic thinking that the internet is not what it is. This is people who think, well, where are they going to use Instagram? Where are they going to use YouTube? Like, they're going to make, how much money are they going to make? And they are making real money. And that got them scared. And now you want to come back and put on rules? Good luck. That's all I say. Good luck. Because once that free market has started and people start making money, ain't nobody going to stop doing that. And then the things that they even like offer to the kids, like, well, if you make 30,000, or maybe if you make man, get out of here. My YouTube channel makes $50,000 a month. Why am I going to take 3,000? I'm going to take $6,000. What are you talking about? And again, this not always are the kids who are going to the league. These are kids who are just taking advantage of the NIL in college. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I think we're seeing the beginning of the end of the NCAA. They can't manage it. When they try to manage it, or they give a chance or even an opportunity, they fumble the bag. And we're talking about millions and millions of dollars, and people aren't just going to ignore that or just go back to, get some more, meal plans or meal points. No, man, we're talking about millions of dollars. And it was stupid because this all could have been taken care of if they were just forward thinking, if they could see that they were talking about. It upsets me. And George is going to go in, but I was going to say they just dropped the ball. And I think we're ready to move on from the NCAA. We really don't need the NCAA anymore. But I'll let George take over because he's going to talk way better than I do. So,
George, again, you have the credentials as an academic and athletic administrator. What do you think about NIL enforcement or lack thereof?
What? Who? Oh, NCAA who? They don't even count anymore. Part of me real right now is I'm mad because I didn't get my NLI money. Can we backdate or something from my time when I was a D1 athlete? But when you allow Scrooge McDuck out the house and he can do what he does or legally, and you ain't gonna catch him, you ain't gonna put him back in the box, you ain't gonna do nothing with. No, it's over and done with. The NCAA can forget about it. This whole time of talking about, these are student athletes and this what? No, it is paid for play. It has been. It was in the dark. Now it is in full view.
Right.
It's in full view. You can see the whole thing. The NCAA now for all those years holding on to them purse straps, keeping them plantations tight. Nobody can go do their stuff for free. Now we getting our labor and just keeping it. And we are, it's about being an athlete. What you get is you get a free scholarship. No, Slim, them days are over. And NCAA is over. So it's like I hate to say they got emancipated, but hey, it is what it is. So,
but you allowed it. The thing is, it's not like it's not like they. It wasn't even like it was like a we want it, and they fought. They were like, hey, take it, figure it out,
because they had no choice. Because when those two rulings came down, I know they're ready to find Ed O'Bannon, and there might be a hit. There's probably a hit out on Ed O'Bannon.
Not touching that one.
There's probably a hit out on him right now.
I will push back a little bit. We do need the NCAA, and here's why we need the NCAA. You need a scapegoat, because once you say, I want to control everything, well, dang blast it, you control everything. Insurance, championships, all of that. And remember, we're really only talking about football because no one was mad at the volleyball tournament. The lacrosse tournament is every Memorial Day. Have a good time. No one cares. Division I, Division II, Division III runs like a machine. No one has an issue. We're just talking about football, and a few weeks ago, I said football has ruined basketball and doesn't care. They don't care. And I'm not mad that they don't care. But whenever they start talking about NCAA, this, that, the other, go ahead and do it yourself. Well, let's find a way to fix it. Because I
They
don't
always
really
begin their
want to be in charge of insurance. I don't want to be in charge of legislation. I really don't care about the gymnastics championship. I
But
don't.
Key,
Talk to
Key,
me, George. Talk
Keith,
to me.
all what you were saying was correct then until those sports started being money revenue. The minute cable TV came out, you want to be mad at somebody about how the system got broke? Blame Texas, okay? Because Texas gets the Longhorn Network. Blame ESPN or something like that. Because the minute they did that and they started the package deals and stuff with the conferences, when football season ended, what were we going to put on? Well, I got a whole slate of basketball. I got a whole slate of baseball. I got a whole slate of gymnastics and volleyball. They found out that these things make money because people want to see them. Not every parent of a college athlete that plays football. And not everybody's just interested in football. In the minute that they started creating massive amounts of revenue, it changed everything. The College World Series used to be covered by CBS up until, and it was only the College World Series. You might get 2 games out of it. You might get the semifinals. And I remember, because I remember watching, like, man, I can't wait to play. And not that I ever got a chance to go to Omaha, but I remember because I wanted to be in it. Man, you take that 10 years and you come up with the SEC network and all this, then you get to see conference games and you get to see the super regional and everything else. The number of people that were there was just ridiculous. And now for every LSU fan that couldn't make it to the box for the super regional, they get to watch the team now on TV because they have ESPN. And the minute that started drawing money, changed everything.
And speaking of drawing money, the women's tournament is up for renegotiated rights in 2 years. And remember, what really funds the NCAA is the men's tournament. So now you're about to get an influx of money. So when people say we don't need the NCAA, yeah, good luck with that. They may be a flawed organization, and they are, but you do need them because you need the structured box. Because as you found out, Will and George and myself, when you leave your parents' home and you got to pay your own bills and you got to do all that adulting, it ain't fun no more. Take me back to 18 where I can talk all the smack I want to and go right upstairs in my room and the refrigerator's full of food and I can still eat, but I can't wait to be out of here until I'm out. Because I got to go to the grocery store when I leave here. And I'm looking for Costco. I'm not looking for Wegmans. And with that, as we close up this week, I do want to send a personal shout out. Mike Jones, former head coach at DeMatha, former assistant coach at VTech in Maryland, was named head coach at Old Dominion University this past week. Mike and I are contemporaries, along with a bunch of folks like my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, Glenn Farello at Paul VI, Steve Turner at Gonzaga. We all got into the coaching business same time, like 30 years ago. I jumped off the boat in 2013 to fully dedicate myself to the CKA Save project. I started CKA in 2009. Literally at a Hooters, hanging with my former players, and I was talking about how I wanted to help, and my former players are lawyers and economics people and so forth, and they helped me form this. So I'm so proud of Mike because he's one of our guys that finally got that D1 gig, but I'm also proud of our work in terms of the research projects we do, the curriculum development, and just helping to empower student athletes, because our conversations are talking about student athletes having the power to make their own decisions. And some of those decisions we agree or disagree with, but they have the power to make their decisions. So our future is really bright. And if you would like to help, please visit us on the web at cksaveproject.org. And if you'd like to donate to the cause, because we need it, Venmo, Cash App at CKA Save Project. Again, really excited about Mike getting this head job opportunity, as well as the work we're doing. So on behalf of our Cavalcade of Stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, and we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.